Fans, we are live with another edition of the Great North Wrestling Podcast. Today, we are very pleased to have with us Jessika Black, a former Great North Wrestling female champion of the world and recent star of AEW in Toronto. And we'll get into all of that. My name's Jack Kilby. And if you're interested in sending questions, we can get into those as well. But first of all, Jessika, welcome to the program.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
I thought it would be a logical starting point to discuss recent events in terms of your AEW experience. But before that, get into the process with the Jacques Rougeau Lutte Academy and winning that process that allowed you to go train in the Nightmare Factory. Could you speak on that a little bit?
Sure. So for those who are not aware or don't know as much about it, it was a 3-round tournament that started in May. And there was 3 rounds, so every round everyone had an opponent, and through judges and through fan voting, the best performer would go on to the next round. And I got to the finals, and then in the finals, QT Marshall was streaming and picked the winners. So the 4 winners that he I guess saw something in, and we won $5,000. And a chance to be on AEW TV in Toronto, and the 3-month scholarship to the Nightmare Factory here in Georgia. And it was a really intense experience. It was a very different kind of experience on a wrestling level, because it was one of the contestants said it so well, Kale Shock, that it was the first time that wrestling kind of felt real, in the sense that there was really something, like we were fighting for something bigger. We're fighting. We wanted to outperform, which we should always want to outshine and outperform our opponents. But it was that like extra little motivation for each round, and it was quite an experience. It was quite an experience, but super happy to be here. Super thankful for everyone that came out and supported me and that helped me through that process. And yeah, I was able to win and get through.
So you're down there now training at the factory. That must be from someone who has a breadth of experience working on an independent level in Canada, to be down there in such a well-regarded and now really established facility. How is that going for you in terms of both the in-ring work and all of the intangible aspects of the business that they may be imparting to you?
I think it's going super well, and it's honestly, it's a lot of fun. So I think in anything that we do, there's like, you can always learn. So I'm always, like, every day I'm learning something new, whether it's reminding myself of things that I learned a long time ago when I started, or just new techniques to doing certain things. And like you mentioned, the intangibles of making new connections, networking, all those things. It's really, it's priceless, really, this experience. And we're getting so much ring time. Like, we're practicing 6 times a week, and you just really can't, like, it's an amazing experience to be here and to be able to do that, to learn from Coach QT, Coach Cody, and to just the amount of experience and knowledge that, like, we're around. It's like, I'm very, very grateful to be here and be able to go through that.
In terms of your promo work, I recall in the show that I had the benefit of being ringside for in Kingston last year, you cut a number of really, I guess the best word to describe it is believable.
Okay,
I'll
take that.
heel promos. Like, it really stood out to me in terms of the female workers on the card. Has there been any sort of focus on that aspect of your game that you feel that you've learned a lot from, given the fact that you come from a solid foundation in that area?
Actually, yes, we're doing promo work here, and I am getting a lot of positive, constructive feedback to step it to go on to the next level. Because again, nothing is ever perfect, and I think I appreciate that you said that the promos that I do are believable because that's the whole point, right? And no one wants to hear anything that's sounds not real.
Mm-hmm.
um
Mm-hmm.
so you gotta learn to tap into certain parts of yourself or certain parts of everything. And yeah, actually I think I'm going to be that much better actually coming back out of this promo wise also.
Excellent. Now, growing, I want to discuss what led you into the business and some of your influences growing up. But as a lot of viewers of the Hannibal TV saw and heard, you had some pretty significant exposure at the AEW cards in Toronto last month. Any aside from obviously what was a very quality match, mixed tag match, what experiences from that jump out at you, given the scale and the complexity of the production, that you really wouldn't have perhaps experienced on an independent level?
Well, I think, like you said, the production level, the arena, the crowd, the professionalism, and not to say that other independent levels aren't professional, but just the grand scale of it, with the exposure. That's something that is again. I'm going to be repeating myself, but it's priceless. It's not. It's something that we can't really get anywhere else, especially as Canadians when it is hard to get into certain places. It was such an amazing experience to just be there and just be able to actually experience it through and actually just see how things are run. Just to be able to see the talent go through their process of getting ready, being and my process of getting ready with that talent, and be able to experience that with them. What was cool was be able to experience it with people that I like trust and know around me too. Was very grateful for that. But it was really like I think it'd be great if everyone could experience that just to see what it really is. Because there's certain things that are probably what we expected, but certain things that are not always what we expect. And just to be able to go with the flow and just be there and be ready and deliver best that you can. And I think that we did that. I think that I did that. I'm very happy and proud of my experience there.
Did you feel any extra pressure given the fact that you're a proud Canadian and representing the province of Quebec, etc.? Did you feel any extra pressure being aside from the obvious that it's a major high profile gig? Did you feel any pressure that it was on home soil to perform, or did you just work that through your process naturally?
I think I normally am someone who does get very nervous for performances because I really do want to do well, and I try really hard and I put a lot of effort into everything that I do. But there was something there that was just so special. It was game time, and I was like, you know what? I've done the work. I've put in the work. I've done the best I can, and like this is it. Like this is me. This is gonna be like I'm ready, like I've done everything. And so I didn't feel the extra pressure because I felt ready. And like I said, I was surrounded. I got to team with Jeremy Prophet, which was amazing for me. To live through that with him. And it was just like, you know what, we worked so hard. And it was just like, that's it. Let's just go. And there was just no time to be nervous, no time for anything. It was go time, and we did it. It was, and I loved it for that. I really did love that part of it, and I was proud of myself for that also.
Awesome. Grandma Daisy, a fan, is asking, kind of moving ahead, what my plan was. Which wrestlers did you idolize growing up?
So as a young child, one of my favorite, I'm always a huge fan of Mick Foley. as Mankind. He always, he always entertained me, and I like, yeah, he just always entertained me. When I was younger, I was a huge fan of Hacksaw Jim Duggan and Razor Ramon. I was just drawn to their charisma, and yeah, those would be my top three actually as a young as a young, I guess, growing girl in the business, watching the business. Unfortunately, I did.
Any female wrestlers in particular?
So, growing up, not so much because I was not able to relate to a lot of the girls during the Attitude Era because I just didn't see myself uh, doing the things that they were doing, in the sense that, like, I wasn't interested in nightgown matches and pillow matches and all those things. So I wasn't able to like relate to them. So I was just like, that's not what I want to do. And that's not why I'm watching wrestling. So it was not like, it was not until I restarted watching old stuff that when I discovered Alundra Blaze, and I was like, okay, shit, she was good. Like she knew what she was doing, and started seeing a lot of like her stuff with Sherry Martel in AAA that I thought was not AAA, sorry,
AWA.
Yeah, thank you. That I was like, okay, this is cool. This I could do. This is something I can relate to. And but during the Attitude Era, it was not there was not a lot of females that, even China, as powerful as she was, it wasn't something that I could relate to because I didn't see myself as a super jacked girl either.
So what was the point in your life, being coming from a fan of the business background, that made you decide that you wanted to be involved in the business as a competitor?
I think as I got older, I started like, I just realized like I really do like wrestling, and when I started watching TNA, and some of the stuff that the girls were doing there really started. I was just like, I could do this, and I started seeing myself in the product, and like, I could do this, I could do this. And at one point, I was just like, I have to stop saying that I can do this, and I have to just go do it. And I looked up the first wrestling school that I could find in Montreal, and I signed up, and I never stopped until I was forced to stop. Um, but um, but yeah, it was really older in my, like, a little bit older in my life, after I'd gone to school, after I'd like done things that I thought I had to do, where I started realizing, like, you know what, like, I got to start having fun, and I got to start doing things that I want to do. And then I started seeing myself in the product also, and then I was just and being like, finding women that I was more relatable to, that were wrestling. They weren't just eye candy, and realized that, like, and now I realize that that's what I want to do. I just want to be able to represent, like, or help women have a representation of what women can do, that's not necessarily just eye candy. That like we can do what the men are doing, and it doesn't all have to be sexualized. And I'm proud to do that, I think.
A fan is asking, in a journey that's filled with endless challenges, what has kept you focused and motivated to achieve your goals and dreams?
I think for me, it's always you like you need to take things step by step, and you always have mini goals, but you always keep going because there's always something else. And I think, like, I personally believe that you can never be perfect at anything. So you should strive for perfection, knowing that you'll never achieve that, but there's always something, like, you can always improve. And that's always for me what I want to do. I just want to get better at everything I do, no matter, like, at anything that I do. I just want to keep evolving and learning. I really do believe that I'm a lifelong learner in every aspect of everything that I do. And I really strongly believe that everyone, like, it's a value that I hold. I think everyone should be a lifelong learner in everything. And that's really what motivates me. And that's what keeps me focused, is that just keep getting better. I don't have to, sometimes I get down on myself and be like, oh, I'll never be the best, but it doesn't matter because I can be better than what I was yesterday. And that's my goal. And that's always my motivation. And that's really how I feel I achieve most of the things that I achieve, is just by trying to be better than what I was yesterday.
So, in terms of actually getting trained and breaking into the business, can you describe that process, and whether or not your expectations going in based on being a fan were totally sort of turned on their head?
So I don't. It's funny. I don't know if I what I expected, but I do remember when I signed up. I signed up at Torture Chamber with Drew Onyx, and he told me there would be a little like tryout process. And I asked him what was part of the tryout, and he said I was one of the first people to ask him what was part of the tryout. And I'm like, because again, I like being prepared and I like working hard. So I was like, well, because I want to know what to expect, and if you tell me, then I'll know what to expect. He didn't have to tell me, but he did tell me. So I knew what to expect going in, and I trained for that. And then, I did the tryout. Everything felt good, and I was just so surprised that after those first couple of practices, I would go home feeling so happy. And I'm someone who I'm shy. I don't like new people. Like it gets me nervous and all those things. And I'm surrounded by a bunch of new people doing a bunch of new things that I never done, and I was having fun. And that's not something that I always experience. And other things that I do, I have to push through because it's like I'm nervous and all those things. But I was just having fun doing it, and it felt like I was having fun. I was learning, and I was helping myself like physically. It was something that was keeping me physically in shape, and yeah, just keeping me physically in shape. And I loved everything about it. I was like, this is just all positive. There's no negative to this. Um, and I mean, it wasn't always easy. There's a lot of things that like I had to learn, that I had to really like slow down and focus and really work hard at it. But I knew that I was getting better every single time. And that's really what I fell in love with. I fell in love with that process of just seeing myself get better again, and enjoying the entertainment aspect of it also.
Was the ring psychology I mean, the physicality speaks for itself. You either have it or you don't a lot of the time. But was the ring psychology aspect and character development something that came naturally to you, or was that an area of focus?
To be honest, I think it's still an area of focus. I think it's something that I don't know if it comes naturally, but it's something that I don't shy away from. But I think again, you always need to evolve, especially in this business. This is a business, whether you think wrestling is an art, whether you think wrestling is a sport, whether you think wrestling is entertainment, whatever you think wrestling is, it evolves. Every aspect of it evolves, and you need to evolve with it. So I think like character development, psychology, all that stuff. You can never stay stagnant on that. You have to know what's around you, know what's in tune with everyone, and keep going. So I think that's definitely something for me that I don't shy away from. I don't know that it comes naturally because I do have to think about it, but I think that's normal that I have to think about it, and I keep always trying to evolve with my promos. That again, I love doing promos, but it's something that again, it's you got to work at it, you got to think at it, you got to. These are things that you don't just you can't just improv. I think that's something that a lot of people in a lot of different areas as a teacher, I see this, just think you could just like go up and improv, and you can't. Things need to be thought out and planned first.
Did you lean towards one side of the spectrum more than others initially in terms of being a baby face or a heel? Did you find one came more naturally than others, or you felt more comfortable being?
So here I'll be you'll have a little moment of honesty that I haven't told many people here. I often at the beginning, often people just assume I'd be a heel, and I feel it was just on my look and my demeanor, and I didn't really think much of it. But what ended up happening is I ended up being cast as a face for my first year and a half. I was pretty much a face all around, and I thought I was getting a lot of experience at that, and I was getting comfortable with it. And then I got injured, and when I came back as a heel, and I was having a lot of fun. And again, learning the intricacies of that. But Now I get insulted it's a very strong word. When I'm typecast as a heel, because again, I feel like it's just based on my look, and it's just based on the fact that I do not fit the stereotype of what women wrestlers are, and that pisses me off because I'm actually a really good person, and I don't like being mean. It's even if I'm good at it, I don't like it. So so I think I would like to, I think I'm a good person, and I like to fight for what's right. So I think I'm a great spokesperson for the social justice of everybody out there, and everyone should cheer me.
Well, some of the old timers have said that the nicest folks in the locker room are usually the heels. So
I've heard that.
there may be something to that.
I've heard
In
that.
terms of your initial experiences and bookings, how would you describe that aspect of paying your dues to get a name together and the travel, the low pay, at least initially, that sort of grind that a lot of the workers refer to on an independent level still to this day? Do you have any experiences from that have really guided you moving forward, especially with your recent large scale success?
I think it's just important for anyone just to always be a human being. It's a community wrestling and it's networking. So you got to be available to help. You got to be available for the promoters. You got to be helpful. You got to be an asset in and out of the ring. And I think for me, it was, being available as much as possible. And being available for a good portion of the day too to help with the ring, to help with the takedown and put up the ring and help with all again any aspect. If you have a skill, I don't know, maybe if someone has a skill with Photoshop, maybe they can help with graphics, whatever. But to put yourself out there to be as helpful as possible, because it is a community and we're all doing this because we love this business, but we also want to be successful at it. And sometimes we realize that our skills, like it's not necessarily always the wrestling skill that gets you to places. Sometimes it's other things, but I think most importantly, it's just being a human being and being able to help as many people as possible is really, I think that's really important for any person starting to realize that and to do that so that you can be noticed and people will go to bat for you and will speak highly of you, and will want you booked on shows.
Did you have any opponents that you worked with initially that sort of took you under their wing or left an impression on you to sort of mold your style after working with them, or was this something that organically you came up with?
I think I was lucky enough that in my training, there was me and another female wrestler, Stacy Thibault, who also wrestled for Hannibal TV and GNW. We came up together. So I think we helped shape each other because we trained together, and so we were able to kind of uh, figure out what both of our strengths were and then accentuate and learn to accentuate each other's strengths. So I think I'm really grateful that I was able to have another female partner to do that with. um, and other than that though, I think um, I wrestled a lot of different styles of opponents, and I think what's most important again in this business that's is always evolving is to be able to be able to deal with different types of opponents and all things. So I think as long as you know what you do well, like I learned what I do well through training and through repetition, but then also having stuff in your back pocket that you can use with different types of opponents. So I think really just having different types of opponents is really what's super important to learn what your strengths are.
And I mentioned before, and you touched on it briefly. You have a history with Great North Wrestling. You're a former champion with our organization. Do you have any favorite matches, opponents, memories, what have you, working for GNW? I mentioned the card in Kingston last year where you worked a couple of times and were a standout there, but I'm assuming you again won the title, defended the title. We're talking at the Kingston card about getting the strap again. Do you have any standout moments or memories from working for GNW?
I think I have a match against Melanie Havoc that was in Petawawa, I believe. That was a really fun show. I suggest everyone should go watch that match. There's a little promo before too that's also very entertaining. And I was remember that match because it was part of my comeback after my injury, and it was I think it was a turning point for me where I really started to regain my confidence in just after the injury and everything. And I think the match came out really well. I also enjoyed. Well, I didn't. I say the standout match was against Lufisto where I lost the belt. I didn't say that I enjoyed that. I did not enjoy that, but the match itself was good. Again, it was soon after, and again, it was the same type of idea of like after my injury, I was really slowly starting to get my confidence back in the physicality of the sport and in just being comfortable in front of the performance aspect and working with someone with as much experience as Lufisto was very helpful for me to getting there, even though the outcome was not what I wanted it to be. But yeah, those were two would be two Great North wrestling moments that stick out for me.
And you also in the Kingston show were talking about regaining the title again. That was a theme in your presentation, and I know that you were there to watch the champion Nova, who has since been stripped, but is regaining that title and seeing where that goes with new opponents something that is on your radar for 2023 as we restart the brand.
Absolutely, because I don't know what the situation with Nova is, but I don't even understand why she got the championship match to begin with. Because I lost to Lufisto, which totally, I admit it. I'm not going to hide behind that. The footage is out there. But then the championship was vacant and I wasn't included in the championship match. And I have no idea why. It's kind of insulting since I've been there as I've always been there. And I was involved in this match. So I think Nova handed the title on a silver platter. Don't know why, don't really care why, but I want to rectify that because I should definitely be in the picture. I don't think anyone who can do what I do. I don't think Nova can do what I do, and I don't think she can entertain the people as much as I entertain the people, either on the mic or in the ring. And I deserve to be in that title contention, and that's really just it. Like it's just a matter of fact. Like there's nothing. It's just a matter of fact.
Well, we'll have to see where that goes because I know the fans were asking about when that match would take place, and we're looking at 2023 as perhaps booking that. I wanted to ask you as well. You're you're a teacher, and you balance a career in pro wrestling with that profession. How does that work? And do you have any? I know you were featured in a recent CBC article as well, which sort of went into that to a degree. Do you have any interesting anecdotes to share with respect to how you've sort of not only maintain the schedule as a wrestler, but also if there was any bleed over from your wrestling to your classroom?
So I tried to keep, for a very long time, I tried to keep my two worlds separate. It's two very demanding worlds. Teaching, no one understands education if you're not in a high school or an elementary school. I, I'm sorry if people insulted, but you don't understand what goes on in the hard work that people put it in. I think people, and this is something that is very close to my heart, so it's going to come out. It might come out a little bit passionate here, but I think because people have been in school, they think they know what it is to work in a school, And that's completely wrong, because you can watch as many movies as you want, but you still don't know the hard work that it takes to make the movie. So I like, education, one, is really important to me, and two, it is a very demanding job, and so is wrestling is also a very demanding job, because you got to be physically fit, you got to be alert, you got to be, and you have to train and put in the work. And for a long time I wanted to keep both separate, because I just like to keep things separate in my world, and I didn't really know what it would come out to. I when I Because I'm someone, when it's time to work, it's time to work. So when I'm at school, like, it's work, and I want to impart that onto my students. That it's like, work ethic is really important. So I'm not going to talk about other things. It's them, just like, I not to say that I stop them from talking about other things, but I try to, like, get the students always to focus on what they need to do so they can learn. And with the Wrestling Academy project that started like last year, my two worlds started colliding, which really kind of freaked me out for a little bit, because, again, like you mentioned, all the CBC coverage and all those things, but it ended up being so positive, and it was just another proof to me that we're always learning, and we're always evolving, because most of the students knew that I wrestled because they looked teachers up online and all those things. But each time they asked, they're like, "Okay, Miss, like, they're like, Miss, do you wrestle and all stuff?" I'd be like, "Yes, I do." And here's Jacques Cartier coming to Canada and all those things, and I would, like, totally, like, kind of dismiss the question. But it forced me to talk about it, and the students were so receptive, and were so, like, you saw it. It was genuine. Like, they were happy to see someone that they knew, and respected, I believe, like, achieve goals and dreams. And they were so supportive. A lot of them came to watch me wrestle. Some of them are still coming to see me wrestle, which I think is amazing. Like, it always, like, at each time, like, I get a message, like, "Oh, we're coming to see you." It's like, it touches my heart each time, because it's like, I like, it opened up another world, and it opened up another world of education to me, because it's you know education, again, we have to teach material, but we're also teaching how to be human beings. And if there's any kind of inspiration of, like, you want to do something, just go do it. And if I could be any kind of inspiration to anyone in any way, shape, or form, and again, as a as a female wrestler in a male dominated world, but still keeping integrity and all those things, like, I just think that could be so positive. And that's really something that's, like, opened my mind, and kind of something that I want to work with in the future, with that, like, maybe actually, being more open about my personal life with students.
What would be? I know this may be kind of an arcane comparison, but what aspects of the wrestling business translate to the classroom and vice versa, aside
Oh,
from
there's
role modeling that you spoke on?
there's so much. It Teaching is a performance. You have to you're in front of, people don't even know. There's, like, I have a classroom of 44 kids, 44 students that do not want to be there, that want to be anywhere else. And I have to motivate them and inspire them and entertain them, while trying to have them remember messages, and like, and all these things. It's a performance. I am on from 8 o'clock to 3 o'clock. I am performing. I am not, like, I'm not me, the person me. I am the teacher me, which is pretty much acting. So that performance
Hmm.
aspect, and that being in front of other people, because I can't, as much as I say, like, I should open up my personal life, like, it can't be me. I'm not going to go there and talk about, I don't know, being there's certain things that I have to keep to myself, right? I can't bring in my personal problems. I can't bring in my, if I'm having I don't know, like a mental health issue. If I'm having anything like that, I need to be the strong person that's able to lead and all those things. So it's full on a performance, and that like that's what we do in wrestling. We're performing in front of people. We're entertaining. We need to motivate them. We need to inspire them. We need to do all of those things. It's just a different medium of doing it, but it's so similar. And I there's so many skills that I learned through teaching, through like my 14 years of teaching now, that I can translate into the wrestling world for captivating audiences and dealing with that. At least in a wrestling, and you know what's crazier too? Wrestling audience is easier because the wrestling audience is paying to be there. So they want to be
Mhm.
there. So they're way easier to work with
Mhm.
than students that are forced to be in class.
Mhm. Well, it certainly must add to your lesson planning if you have a few anecdotes from the business to pull out and drop on the kids.
It does.
Do you, if you could delineate your career thus far to a single, maybe not a single, but a highlight specifically, either in terms of in ring or a promo or whatnot, what would you put on that pantheon right now as your most proud accomplishment?
I guess I would have two. I would have Winning Wrestling Academy, and you know, everyone can go watch it on YouTube. There's a promo there, there's the match, and there's QT Marshall picking me as the winner, which was really such an amazing moment because again, I put so much hard work into it, into that whole process, and really like again worked hard, spoke and with a lot of people, got coached by a lot of people, and it was such a culminating moment to have to be rewarded. I remember telling someone after, it was like I felt like this was the first time that like I won something from my hard work. Like I wasn't second, I wasn't third. Like I'm like I was first. Like it was, and I'm always gonna remember that, and I'm always gonna like remind myself of that to help motivate me. And also the AEW dark tapings were such a blast to be in front of a 9,000 people in Toronto, in Canada, to be able to do that with Jeremy Prophet, my partner, in and out of the ring was just such a beautiful moment, and it was just such a happy moment. I remember telling him, I was like, I'm not even nervous. I'm just happy to be here, and I'm just having fun, and that's what wrestling is supposed to be. It's just having fun, and I felt like I did that there. So those two moments to me are really they're stand up, and they mean so much to me, and they're very close to my heart.
So moving forward, do you have a dream opponent or a goal that that is somewhat tangible that you have yet to accomplish, that when you're done your wrestling career and you hang up your boots, you can say, I wanted this and I did it, aside from your obvious accomplishments at this stage?
So I'm really bad at answering those questions because I again, for me, like my goal is just to get better and just to live through the journey. I don't necessarily, there are people I'd like to wrestle, but there's not like I don't have a standout opponent that I like to wrestle because I want to wrestle everybody. I really do. Like I just want to wrestle as many women as possible, and I want to be able to elevate women's wrestling. If anything, actually that would be cool. I want to, if I can do something somewhere where I can elevate women's wrestling, whether it's be able to main event a card, or change someone's mind about women's wrestling, because there's still a lot of people that do not like women's wrestling. So if I could change one person's mind and be like, you know what, these women, they're not so bad, they know what they're doing, all right, it's entertaining, that would be something that again I think that I'd love to do, that I work hard and I continuously work hard to do, um, and I'd love to be back in AEW. I'd love to be back there in that environment and get another opportunity, and that's what I'm going to keep working hard to do.
So what is next for you on the horizon immediately, in terms of your wrestling career? To, you mentioned AEW, but do you have a plan for the next few months? Do you have a short to medium term goal or plan that you'd like to achieve? Basically, what's next for Jessica Black?
So the focus right now is Atlanta, Georgia, and the Nightmare Factory. So getting as much ring time and as much knowledge as possible while I'm here. We're here till December. So and then there's we're gonna have a showcase at the end of December, right before Christmas. So that's the short term goal, is to really to shine as much as possible here, to take in as much knowledge and to learn as much as possible. And then after that, it's going to be taking everything that I've learned here and putting it into action. I'm not fully sure what that means yet because I'm still in this process, but that I know that that's what I want to do. It's going to be okay after this process is over. Now I've learned all this stuff. I've hopefully been able to shine through all this stuff, and now what's like okay, like it's take the step back to take the step forward, just to like see okay, where does this lead me and where are my options. But short term, it's really just being here and appreciating the experience and taking as much as possible in, because this is a once in a lifetime experience. This is something that I'm very lucky and very grateful to be here, to be able to be doing this.
Absolutely. Where can the fans find you on social media if they want to contact you, or you're interested in picking up any bookings moving forward, that sort of thing?
Yep. So on Twitter, it is Jessika with a K. So JESSIKAE Black. That's on Twitter. And on Instagram, it is Jessika again with a K. Black Iron. And on Facebook, it's just Jessika Black.
Well, I very much appreciate your time, and those of us in the Great North Wrestling Sphere are very happy for you and pleased to see your success, and we'll be watching your career develop moving forward with great interest. And want to thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you very much. I appreciate this, and anytime I'm available.
Thanks very much. Take care.
Thank you.
Fans, we'll be back next week with another Great North Wrestling mainstay, the Bruiser. So don't miss it.